Avsheni. It's my favorite day of the week, and I thought I would tell you a story. That's Sunday, by the way. So I thought I would tell you a story about how I got fired the first time. I don't know if being fired is a rite of passage, but I've been fired twice in the funniest kind of ways. From the same job, actually. Anywho, so it is 2014. I have an amazing opportunity. I had resigned from formal employment in finished February of 2013, and for a while everything was good, and I'm very passionate about farming, so that was the plan. I'm going to go farm. So that went all right for a bit, and then come November of 2013, I start to get a bit of a panic, and I think, oh, I need to get a job. I get a job, which took forever, and the process alone should have told me that it's not time, that I am done with all of that. But anyway, I get a job, and then in January of 2014, I have the most amazing opportunity where I get a call, because my background is in television, and I had moved into a more corporate setting, fighting the creative in me. So anywho, I get an amazing call where I'm being asked to come produce, initially just to produce a documentary to be shot in 5 different African countries, completely right up my alley, my exact sort of thing. And of course, I then resigned from my short-lived corporate gig, and I had to pay them, actually, because they had offered me a permanent position, and now I don't know, there was something, but then I had to pay them, and I did. Excuse the vehicles that might drive past. I'm actually walking down to go have some breakfast. I've packed a nice little breakfast. That's the sound you hear there. So I decided to go have breakfast by the trees. So that's where I'm off to now, by the dam. So anywho, I pay them, I go into my wonderful situation, and first time kind of having an opportunity where I don't know if it falls under head hunting or whatever it is. And also because I grew up in a very politically active family, and this documentary having was wholly about the liberation movement and celebrating the different men and women that had been part of the liberation movement, and taking them on a journey of where they had been, the countries they had lived in, where they had trained. And it was wonderful seeing people reunited with people they have not seen for tens and tens of years. So it was amazing. And I actually had the amazing opportunity to work with the late Kurapetse Khositsile. And to be fair, I believe that him and one other experience that came from that documentary filmmaking was the reason why God sent me there. All that is, by whatever name you choose to call that, is Allah, Buddha, etc., etc. So when I joined this team, it was a team of a man and a woman, and they are Caucasian. I mention this only because it matters, unfortunately. And I remember a soulmate of mine at the time, she said to me, because she had worked with them previously, and she said, gosh, don't do it. And she's very outspoken, very, and extremely bold, not in a bad way. But I think in a world that is afraid of bold black women, especially, she definitely is the highest in terms of the most frightening of all of us. But anyway, so I thought, You know, I'm very diplomatic. That's very one of my strengths. I thought, I will keep in mind what she said and what others have said, because she was not the only one who warned me. Everyone keeps saying, oh, no, 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 don't work with them. But I did. And yeah, they were right. And it came to a head. First of all, I've never been so micromanaged on a job that I was fully capable of doing. So much so that they actually influenced how the subjects of the documentary viewed me. Because if there's one thing about micromanagement, is that you immediately plant seeds of doubt about the person. And so, oh gosh, we welcome the shade. So the seeds of doubt have been planted about me. But thank God that my work speaks for itself, etc., etc. So on the first leg, the bosses came along with me, which did not work out well. So much so that even the subject, who actually knew the executive producer very well from back in the day, you know, struggle days, she said to me she does not like the way he operates, etc., etc. And because I was being micromanaged, I had to give a report after every shoot, after everything. And so subsequent to that, I actually mentioned in my shoot that the subject actually did not enjoy the fact that the bosses were on the shoot, and quite literally her words, because the subject was a black female, because we chose to have a black female from Umkhonto weSizwe, because the narrative was always about the males, etc., etc. So I thought that was a nice thing. Thank you to our researcher Sonia at the time. Anyway, so she was a very high up person, obviously, and me mentioning that in the report, I think, really embarrassed the bosses. And then I became, you know, persona non grata as a result. And so even though we're not done shooting, when my contract was coming to an end in June, at the end of June, it was not renewed or extended. And being the little fighter that I am, I remember I went to the CEO of the company and I spoke to him about it, and he then got on the call with the executive producer, who just said he does not want me anymore. You know, and so that was that. But fortunately, I had been smart enough to have booked a holiday with a friend of mine. We'd actually won the flight tickets, and I went through a winning streak at some point in my life. And so fortunately, I had booked myself a nice little holiday, and that's where I went. And I remember when I was on the beach on holiday, I met this British couple, and it was the first time I actually said out loud, I got fired. And I remember the British gent saying to me that I would come to celebrate having been fired. It is an important rite of passage, particularly if you were fired for standing up, for speaking your truth, etc., etc. So, yeah. To date, I have not watched the documentary, even though, yeah, I actually ended up producing and directing the documentary, and I met a wonderful soulmate in love through the documentary, and we spent a wonderful time for a time. But more importantly is something Khositsile Kurapetsi, said to me when he was telling me how in 1960 the editor of the Daily Mail or something in South Africa had edited his work that he had sent in an article. Sorry about that. So he had edited an article that he had sent in, and we were talking, because I'm also a writer, about the deliberate usage of words, and pretty much said to him, if you change any word in my article, you can't use it. And so that's how I learned. No matter what, you stand up for yourself. Oh, let me stop and